Everybody. Thanks, Chris. We're recording, guys. You are informed. So we had this meeting scheduled for Friday, and as we all know, things are so, just up in the air right now, just life in general. So we had to pivot and switch to today. Very, very, very grateful that you guys were able to do that. We've been talking with Mortgage Coach for a little bit now, and I know some of you are using Mortgage Coach, which is really why we're here today. We started hearing from some platinum producers that it really is a game changer for their business, and that they just could not really do the business that they do without the partnership of Mortgage Coach. So Eric Bowlby wanted me to get with the folks over there and just talk about, what it could do for all of our loan officers. Of course, we want platforms that add value for everybody, no matter where your business is, what stage it's in. But as we all know that, effective total cost analysis is really super important when talking to borrowers about their options and really lining up what their options are with what their overall end goal is, right? Their financial end goal. That is one piece of Mortgage Coach, is the total cost analysis. There are other features that are just awesome added features. But we wanted to talk to you guys about it today for two reasons. One, you guys are leaders, right? You guys are overseeing a branch of individuals that really rely on you to share best practices with them. You've got folks that are ramping up, and maybe even folks that are struggling a little bit that need some coaching tools. And I feel like, presenting loan options to a borrower can be daunting. If you don't have the technology and the platform to present those loan scenarios, you can fumble a little bit. And what we want is to really, really look like experts, really, which is how we get the confidence from people to do business with us. So that's why we're here today. So as you're watching this presentation, so Joe, I'm going to say his name wrong, guys. Help me one more time with the last name, Chris.
Sure.
Joe Putor, the president of Mortgage Coach, is here today to share all of the goodies that Mortgage Coach has to offer. So as he's going through all the features and capabilities, I want you guys to be thinking about, one, how it can change your business, right? What positive impact it can have on your business, but also be thinking about team members that could really benefit from having a structured way of presenting to clients all of their options. So Joe, I know that you're on. I saw your name on here. I really wanted to give the floor to you. And first of all, I just want to thank you for taking the time to jump on with us today. And I can't imagine, I've been in really great hands with Chris and Don, but I can't imagine that we're going to be in excellent hands with you. So thank you for taking the time to join us today.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we're thrilled to be here. A partnership with Mortgage Coach and your brand is certainly a fantastic way to get 2022 off and started. And so really want to make sure for everyone on the call that questions get answered. And as producing leaders, certainly your ability to inspire and guide the folks that work for you should be an outcome of this engagement. So implementation and ongoing support is something you can certainly expect. We're in this together. It really is a partnership relationship. So with that said, I will get into the platform and certainly share a little bit about the benefits. But before I do, Chris, Dawn, you certainly know a lot of our existing Mortgage Coach members from this organization.
This is Greg.
Hey, Greg. Anything you want to share before we get into the examples and the experience itself? Dawn or Chris?
Sorry, I was letting people in. Sorry about that. Yeah, and actually, so just to add on to what Joe was saying too, we want to kind of keep this as a conversation as well. So, Joe is presenting, but if anyone has any questions, please unmute yourself or throw it in the chat, and feel free. We want to, if you guys have questions, we want them answered. We want you to feel as comfortable with Mortgage Coach and how to build a TCA as possible. So speak up. And we have, I think, 15 or 20 users from AmeriFirst that are using Mortgage Coach. So if you guys want to, give your insight, what's working for you, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, it's always best when these sessions are interactive. And Dawn, feel free to chime in if there's anything along the way you want to add as well. So philosophically, what we're talking about today is introducing the ability to deliver advice and not price. And when you can make that transition to talking to customers about options in a way that serves their longer term financial goals, you can get them committed faster. You can also place products that are oftentimes more profitable. So some of the solutions that allow customers to have affordability over time aren't always the solutions that look the best on a fee worksheet. And so when you think about what we're introducing and talking about here today, on the left is what originators and professionals typically have to depend on when you're talking about loans. So it might be a cost worksheet, it might be the LE, a few of you might have an Excel workbook, but they're typically very flat, one-dimensional type of materials, and often aren't quite compliant because either you're trying to show something that's missing certain calculations, or you're talking about benefits that really require some disclaimer disclosure language to be shown appropriately. And inserts the total cost analysis. So anytime at any point in the mortgage conversation that you're talking about rates, terms, ownership costs, you can lean on the analysis. And we're going to spend a lot of time in the sales orientation when you're first talking to a customer, but certainly through the processing, when circumstances change, you might need to illustrate different options. And when you have, post-closing and you're trying to retain that customer over time, you want them to come into a refinance, a cash out, a move up scenario, you're going to want to lean on or have the ability to use the total cost analysis. Today, a lot of brands trust our solution. And I think it's important pointing out that whether it's independent lenders, banks, credit unions, the top producers in the country already depend on Mortgage Coach. Roughly 5 to 6% of all home loans get a total cost analysis, but that's not nearly enough, as every application and every individual can benefit from seeing the options that you can deliver. And so as I transition into showing the software in action, I think it's important to note that every loan scenario can be illustrated. So if you want to show different down payments, if you want to show some of your non-QM solutions, if you want to illustrate DPA programs, if you think about veterans and how many folks don't understand the benefits of the VA, any and all loan scenarios can be illustrated with the total cost analysis. And we're also going to cover how it and where it plugs into your existing technology. So your team has done a fantastic job of selecting great vendors to provide your technology platforms, from Optimal Blue to Total Expert to Encompass. We push and pull data from these solutions so that, again, at any point in the process, beginning, middle, or post-closing, you can lean on the experiences that I'm going to show. So what's on the screen right now is the actual total cost analysis. So this is a customer has clicked the link, and now that when they have seen that link render, whether it's on their phone or their iPad or in a browser like what you're seeing here, even if it's a computer that's 10 years old that maybe mom and dad are using, it's going to show up within the experience. The first thing they see is some language that is really configured and delivered based on your organization's controls. And it gives you, as the originator and the branch leader and production leadership, a lot of autonomy to have a lot of ability to talk to the customer about a lot of things that you just wouldn't have if you didn't have this type of language that, again, changes dynamically based on what's actually being shown. When the presentation itself renders, it will have your information, your branding, your contact data, and narration if you choose to provide it, to help that customer walk through what it is that you're explaining in terms of the options that you can provide. And so the options that you can show can be as simple or as complex as needed to earn the trust of the customer. In this case, in this example, we're showing a rent versus own. So you may be showing someone the first time power of home ownership, that shows various graphs and charts and other insights to help make the case that buying and obtaining equity is a much better long-term bet than continuing to rent. The presentations themselves, as I mentioned, can be as detailed or as general as the audience you're trying to serve. So if you're speaking directly to a customer, you might have individual inaccurate closing costs that are coming from Closing Corp, or accurate fees that are coming from your LOS, or you might be using roll-up fees and not needing to show this level of detail if perhaps you're showing a strategy in social media. The solution can even go into details like reinvestments and debt consolidations and other solutions that help you align with referral partners like financial planners and CPAs to give you the ability to illustrate those scenarios as well. Bringing up this example, I wanted to show what it looks like to have 5 options side by side. So a total cost analysis can support up to 5 scenarios that someone is looking at the same time. And so these could be different purchase prices, they could be different properties, they can be different terms, really leaning on your expertise as the professional and your ability to understand the needs of the customer to determine what it is that you're going to show. Behind all of these graphs and charts is the data that is necessary to support all the calculations and where they're coming from. So the total cost analysis is doing hundreds of calculations behind the scenes to ensure that what's being shown matches your intent. As I mentioned before, debt consolidation is one of the most popular strategies today for mortgage advisors when you're looking at record equities in homes. So if someone's either thinking about, should I build, should I renovate, should I pay off debts, being able to take each individual liability that you have at your disposal and show the various investments that one could make with the equity in their home gives you a powerful way to engage with your past customers, as well as talk to clients today that might not realize that regardless what rates do, record values in homes is giving access to capital to address other debt that certainly creates much more burden on consumers today. And so the ability to have multiple mortgage scenarios illustrated with multiple different debt consolidation scenarios demonstrated is part of the solution's default capabilities. I'm going to go ahead and take this example, and when I click share, you can see that to deliver this presentation is simply a link, and I'm going to put that link in the Zoom chat. So everybody here on the call can click that link, and you can actually see what the presentation looks like on your local device. And while I give everyone a minute to bring that up, I'll kind of continue showing too that depending on what you're illustrating, the presentation can be co-branded. So, we know based on what you're showing or what you're not showing, should it or could it be co-branded? And when it makes sense, you can have the realtor's information, you can have your information, you can have some content about the home that you're talking about, and some strategies on how to make that home affordable for the various buyers that would be considering it. So while you folks have had a chance to click on that debt consolidation, what I'm doing is I'm opening Mortgage Coach as the loan officer, and I'm taking control of that presentation that hopefully you've opened on your screens. And as I'm highlighting the presentation, as I'm moving through the various sections of the presentation, you'll see it's moving for you. It looks like about 8 of you have clicked on it so far. And so again, I pasted the link in the chat of the Zoom. And so when your customer and anyone that's influencing their buying decision is looking at the presentation and you call and engage them, you're now able to control that presentation while they're watching it. So much like how we're in the Zoom meeting right now and we're having a conversation like this, you can have this one-on-one conversation with your borrower and move the presentation, but you don't need extra software. You don't need another Zoom or another account. You're simply able to have anybody open the analysis and you can begin driving that analysis, whether it's for 1 viewer or 1,000 viewers. Everyone will see the changes that you're making in real time or the movements that you're making in real time. So if we needed to change the purchase price or if we wanted to pull new rates, as I'll show in a moment, you would see that happen directly in the presentation. And I see quite a few more folks have clicked the link to see it move live. So part of the magic of the TCA is not just what it illustrates for the borrower, but for how it transforms your ability to get them over their common sales objections by illustrating the benefits that you can offer as an advisor and a professional and get them moving on to the benefits of the home ownership itself. So I want to take a moment and just check if my colleagues of Chris or Dawn have any comments before I move into the section where we talk about how your originators and you as managers will have oversight into the presentations that are being generated, as well as just how quickly your originators can build these presentations, but coming away knowing that you can illustrate any option compared to any option and deliver that illustration with a narrated video and a link to the experience. Chris, Dawn, anything you'd like to cover before I move into the editing?
Yeah, I'd just like to ask everybody, maybe drop a note into the chat. As you look towards building out your production, your purchase transaction pipelines in 2022, what are some of the biggest challenges that you see or that you think are upon the industry right now? Just take a few moments and we could chat about that. I'm going to guess that some of those things might be, how do you get a borrower to get off the fence, right? How do you get them to commit? Rate compression, thanks, Eric. Rate increase, absolutely. Anything else I'm seeing? Well, I think that what we'd like to at least have you walk away with today is that any type of market condition for which you might enter, it doesn't matter. Mortgage Coach is prepared to help you get a grip on that industry dynamic and actually move past what we typically think of as things that slow us down. When we talk about especially managers, you guys are probably very sensitive to your P&Ls. With Mortgage Coach, we have many a case study that talks about how a mortgage lender that uses Mortgage Coach for every borrower for which they do business, you will see typically about a 30% increase in your conversion. That's a big number as you look towards the future. So if you're doing that, if you have your own personal production and you can count on every one of your LOs to do that, what does that look like for your pipeline on a month-to-month basis? And then if you take it a step further, not only are you going to increase your pull-through, but you're going to have less rate shopping. When you have less rate shopping, or if you do have rate shopping and you have price exceptions, one of the ways that you can preserve your margin so that at the end of the month, when you go to look at that P&L, if you save yourself 9 bips on every price exception, what does that look like for your P&L? And what does that translate into for your own personal bonuses and commissions? All right, Joe, that's just wanted to insert that at the moment.
No, that's great context, Dawn. And because you brought it up, I mean, those are two very important components of the ROI that you can each expect in your branches and your originators can expect individually. You'll see profitability increase because, again, you'll be able to place products from your full swath of portfolio and see the product mix increase, as well as convert more applications sooner. But price exceptions and adjustments that you often have to make because the individual originator is feeling some artificial competitive pressures, you can eliminate those pressures earlier in the sale by being able to explain the options. And our customers track this success, and seeing results such as a 55% plus reduction in exceptions is commonplace. So we look forward to delivering a lot of those same results for all of you. So, understanding that we could spend, many hours with every type of illustration you could deliver and talking about each strategy of your local market, trusting that you can deliver those illustrations. This is what the experience is like for you as a professional. You're able to log into Mortgage Coach, whether on your mobile device through our app or whether in a browser like this. And this is bringing you to the experience of what we call the advice engine. So this is where you're able to come in and edit or create from scratch or adjust those presentations that we were all just looking at together. The ability to start a Mortgage Coach presentation and go from beginning to end without any integrations, as some of you are doing independently with our broker version today, takes about 5 minutes to go through the process. But integrations create magic where it can happen proactively, where it can happen instantaneously, and in some cases without the originator having to do anything. like what I'll show you with your Total Expert opportunity. So within the Mortgage Coach Advice Engine, there is an automated tab that indicates and demonstrates wherein all of these presentations are coming from your tech stack and aggregating them together. So you may have presentations you're generating from Encompass. You might have a presentation you updated or generated from Optimal Blue, from Total Expert, from some third party that we haven't even talked about, or from some proprietary solution within your organization. They'll all be conveniently here, so that as a professional, we're eliminating as much data entry as possible. The goal being you can focus on the conversation with the customer to show your full swath of advice, and not have to do repeat keystrokes that you often have to do in unintegrated technology. So we'll take an example from Optimal Blue. We click the presentation that came over from running those pricing results, and now you can apply various strategies that you and your organization, whether at the branch level or at the enterprise level or at the individual level, have configured to expedite the illustration that you want to show. You can update the data from folks like your pricing engine. So maybe it's been a day or two since the presentation was generated and you want to pull new pricing in. You can click to bring in pricing from the pricing engine, and you'll get those results directly in Mortgage Coach. So you'll get accurate rates to match the illustrations that you're demonstrating for the property or the individual. But it's not just coming from Mortgage Coach and pulling the data in. As you saw, that presentation was already there. It came from Optimal Blue. So many of our relationships are bidirectional. And so here you're going to see the Optimal Blue experience, which all of you are used to when you're in your LOS. This screen is framed in. And some of you might be logging in direct to Optimal Blue like I am doing right now and running these scenarios directly. But whether you've come through the LOS or you're coming through Optimal Blue's website, you put together the results, and now in the enterprise relationship that we're establishing, you will see a new function, a Mortgage Coach column. And so you'll be able to simply check next to the loan options you want to illustrate. So I have a 15, a 30, and maybe a home ready product. I click the Mortgage Coach button, and now it produces that entire presentation with all of the data that you had in the customer's information, all the data you had from the pricing engine, and now it prompts you to just add that narration to that presentation. So you have the convenience as an originator of being able to deliver the experience you saw earlier in the rent versus own from this professional by simply clicking a single button to add that narration. When we interviewed originators to develop this technology, they didn't want to have to figure out browse and attach or file size or how do you figure out how to upload. They wanted and needed to be able to leave this as conveniently as a voicemail. So you simply select the camera you want to use. Do I want to use my phone as my camera? Do I want to use my browser as my camera? Or do I want to just narrate and I don't feel like using my camera right now? And so when you click, it establishes that connection, and now you just narrate the presentation. So you can see I went from Optimal Blue, selected results, narrated a presentation, didn't ask for any duplicate keystrokes. If you want to further adjust that presentation, you would be able to come into Mortgage Coach, come to the automated tab, and you would see that presentation waiting for you and ready to make adjustments to. So speed to lead. The idea that we want everyone here on the phone to be able to have the most impactful conversations as quickly as possible is made possible through all of these integration points that we have. And we could spend numerous calls in the future as we talk about onboarding, going through each integration and all the functions they have. But most importantly is to know that if you're capturing data elsewhere, you shouldn't have to put it again into Mortgage Coach. It should be there waiting for you. Going into the presentation, I want to just jump into just a few of the other key integration points that your organization has ready to go. One of those is Closing Corp. So when you think about getting details about transfer taxes or other fees, being able to simply click the Closing Corp button and bring those fees directly into the solution is something that's, again, a unique advantage when you're with an organization that makes those types of investments, to have a fee management solution like Closing Corp that will always be accurate. You also have the ability to pull in accurate MI. So if you were looking to show the benefits of risk-based pricing or whatnot, you're able to pull from the various MI providers today. So whether you want to pull from MGIC or whether you want to pull from National or et cetera, you're going to be able to bring the accurate reflection of options into your scenario from our experience and from your mobile device. And so that information is all accessible directly within the Mortgage Coach solution. Now, outside of editing the report or augmenting it with this integrated data, you're also able to push or pull the experience from your Encompass LOS. So for many folks that are looking at past customers, maybe a closed loan analysis that you want to do on somebody from 3-4 years ago, you can click to import from Encompass. You'll see all of your Encompass records. You can bring that particular past loan in, and you can begin running a new scenario that's relevant to that customer. Same way going the other direction. We just went through that debt consolidation, or we just went through a purchase power conversation, and now we want to select the option we want to use and send it into Encompass. So I know this is the mortgage that we're going to move forward with. I can export to my LOS, so I can send that loan into the production software to begin assembling the documentation. So being able to complement your existing workflow and being able to use all these integration points is part of the strength of kicking off our enterprise relationship together. One more integration I want to cover, and then I will pause for more questions, and that is the integration to Total Expert. So in addition to doing these on demand when you need to directly through our solution, and in addition to always making sure that when you get your pricing results back, you click the Mortgage Coach button to deliver the most up-to-date analysis, you also have your CRM working for you behind the scenes, delivering presentations on your behalf. And so all of the various CRMs that we integrate with, we have 26 plus integrations to third parties today. They do things a little different, but all with the same outcome focus of generating inbound success and farming your past customers, utilizing the accuracy of a total cost analysis. So in Total Expert, the first campaign that you'll see kicked off is an automated mortgage review. So the Total Expert system is looking at all of the closed loans that are in your data set. And based on the information in that closed loan, it'll send out a piece of collateral. And in that collateral, it will contain a total cost analysis that's specific to that person's previous scenario. So if you had 1,000 closed loans, it's going to send out 1,000 TCAs, and each TCA will be specific to that customer's previous loan and have a strategy that's being shown to stimulate an inbound conversation. In this case, showing how an extra $100 a month takes years off the mortgage. So being able to have that type of illustration happening behind the scenes. Large organizations that run these types of automated campaigns have seen upwards of a 10% conversion ratio. So when you think about somebody getting something hyper personal that's truly specific to the loan that you transacted, with advice on possible either reducing payment or other ways to put their financial strategies forward with a new loan, you're able to kick off that conversation in a hands-off approach. So these campaigns that go out and that were measured, the return on that investment is happening whether or not the originator comes in and further adjusts the presentation. But when they do, that's where you really see the needle move. So here inside of Total Expert, it's trying to help that process along. So as a manager, you can expect that when those automated campaigns go out, it prompts them to add narration. It prompts them to use the report in a proactive way to convert that customer. So here you can see if they clicked on add video directly from Total Expert, I'm now coming in and I'm directly adding narration. If I want to preview that presentation and understand what the customer is looking at, I have access to all of that without ever having to leave the CRM. So when you talk about adoption of Mortgage Coach, adoption is really cultural. Do you as an organization believe that every customer should be getting transparency, that every fundable loan should convert? And if you do, how do we get your originators to that point of having a presentation with every application? And so that's the last integration I wanted to highlight. I would just briefly mention that we take training seriously. On an ongoing basis, we're not putting that onus on you as the branch managers, but we are asking you to support culturally integrating their success with Mortgage Coach into the success that you measure with your team. And so, for example, top producers, when you look at the top 100 originators in the country, 35% of them use Mortgage Coach on every transaction. They are grand masters of the TCA, so to speak. And so we provide this feedback both to your originators and to you, gamifying essentially the success of, as you deliver more presentations, you're going to drive more profitability, more conversions. That's just a fact. But how we get folks to get to their first 20, their next 50, the next 75, that's a team effort. We hold up our side by not only measuring it and providing that feedback, delivering infinite numbers of webinars, ongoing education. Many of you have probably seen Dave Savage's videos and other members of our community sharing, but we also work with your internal team to create in-product training. So you might have unique loan products only offered at AmeriFirst that you want to be able to highlight. And so these trainings that we build with your team, when someone clicks on them, it's now within the application going to help walk through the content of what they need to know to build out that particular scenario. So the content in the white box or the yellow box is built with us together. It can be video, it can be guidelines, it can be images. It can really be a rich training program to help your customer, help your originators walk through that initial scenario. And so really making sure that we're all aligned on getting folks to go through that good to great journey that I'm doing a 40, 50, 60% conversion and growth to be able to do so in a way that anyone can learn. And so some folks learn better in the webinar environment, some folks learn better and maybe train the trainer and folks that you have internally, but a lot of folks like just clicking this when they want to know and walking through trainings that you provide. So the fact that we offer all efforts of learning has helped our customers all reach 100% adoption with the solution. So again, I'll take a quick pause there. Dawn, I know how important training, onboarding, and kind of account management is to our experience and what everybody on the line can expect from us as a partner moving forward. This isn't a launch and we disappear. This is we meet quarterly and we move goals together. But anything that you want to add to this part of the conversation?
I don't think so. It's just in this particular area for me, when you let your imagination run wild, how fun would it be for a branch to challenge another branch to create some sort of challenge with the gamification, like the first branch to get all of their LOs to, the brown belt or something like that. So there's a way to create fun while learning is progressing. And I think that's the point of gamification. And that's why we did it. So that we know one of the hurdles that in adopting any type of new technology, it's all about the familiarity and getting over those first few times of using it. And so this is a way that you can have some fun with it from, some competitions, but that's really all I have to say about that. And Thanks. It sounds like Amy Brand is very excited, and Amy, so am I.
So there was a question I did catch in the chat, and I do want to make sure to address it because I might have missed it, and that is alerts. So every time somebody views a presentation, whether they view the presentation that got sent out of Total Expert, whether they view a presentation that came from any other automated source, or they clicked it directly from a text message that you may have sent, you will get notified. So you as the originator will get an alert, get an in-app alert, you can get a notification via email, and they also aggregate here on your home screen where you can see all of the presentations, when they were last seen, how long they were seen, how many times they were viewed, etc. So we are working hard to aggregate and deliver the insights about how people are consuming the presentations so that you can reach out proactively and talk to them. And to any of the technology folks on the phone, all of that data is also available through our APIs. So you see a lot of the CRMs and other solutions kick off a thank you letter or kick off other acknowledgements when people actually view the presentations that you send, creating that personal touch, but without asking you to have to do an extra click. So wanted, again, that alerting function is certainly built into the application directly. Dawn, any other questions that you see in the chat that we should highlight? I know coming into the dialogue, a few folks wanted us to show our HomeBot integration, but anything that you or Chris are seeing in the chat that I haven't answered just yet?
Yes, there is a question about the open rates on automated TCAs. And I would say generally a total cost analysis, whether it's been generated automatically or it's been one that's been sent to a borrower or family, we typically see the sweet spots around 4 to 5 open on a particular TCA. And when you think about that, the benefit to your organization, first of all, obviously, as Joe mentioned, it's speed to lead. So when that presentation is open, it's like your knock on the door to actually pick up the phone and see what's going on with the borrower. But the second thing is, if you encourage your clients or your realtors to share these total cost analysis, it is an unbelievable lift to your brand and your penetration of market share, right? So every time a presentation is shared, your brand, your face is getting put in front of potentially new borrowers. And that's a huge lift for going into the next year as we're looking to generate purchase transaction business. The more you can get out there, the more TCAs that are viewed, it's just an elevation of your entire brand.
Thanks for that extra color, Dawn. And so I have on the screen right now the read receipts. So you see every time the presentation has been consumed. And Dawn brings up a very important point about the agents. You can include the agents in those alerts as well. So whether you're producing something that's co-branded or something that's not, the same notification that you're getting that the customer is looking at their financing options, if you choose, you can include that partner. And that partner could equally be the CPA or anyone else that you want to have involved in the conversation. So the read receipts, the open notifications are incredibly powerful. In terms of automated delivery, the campaigns that are inclusive of the TCA, it's all dependent on the material that you are sending. But when you have something hyper personal, it's exponentially higher of a click-through rate than when it's not. So if you look at Total Expert or other content that doesn't have a TCA versus the content that does, you'll always see a significantly higher activity rate. And I think that's good transition into speaking briefly about HomeBot. So for some of you that have subscribed to HomeBot or any other of the several similar types of solutions that monitor AVM value and send out insights about that home value change, HomeBot has done some pretty unique illustrations of some of that data to make it more actionable for both agents and the borrower. But when you customers, whether it is the agent or the borrower that are using this type of data, when they start wanting to know specifics and have the level of specificity that requires a lender and requires a level of compliance, disclaimer, and disclosure, they lean on the total cost analysis to step in. So here I'm in HomeBot. Once the integration is activated, you click the Get Detailed Breakdown button, and that creates the total cost analysis behind the scenes. That can be configured to either instantly show up for the borrower, or it can have a time delay to give you as the originator a chance to further edit it based on the data that came over from HomeBot, or just appear to take more time to produce on behalf of that customer. But this is another example of a lights out integration where we realize that the heavy lifting of doing the illustration can be done with the TCA, and you might have other technology where you can bring in assumptions to that information. And so HomeBot talks about having over a 50% open and action rate on their type of email content. So it all depends on, and open rates all depend on how you're embedding the TCA and what TCA content is being promoted.
So Joe, there's a question about, is it possible to BCC the referral partner? And yes, essentially you do BCC a referral partner when you add that email address of your referral partner to the total cost analysis. And I'd also like to share, so that the value to the realtor in this case is when you're involving them in those initial conversations or those initial total cost analysis options that you put in front of the borrower, you have the ability to save that realtor a lot of time and effort. So if they know that you have conditionally approved this borrower and the price range is anywhere from $350 to $400, your realtor has a good feeling that that's the price range they should look at, right? So they're not driving from this community to that community at price range that are really out of the realm. So you're making your realtor more efficient. And on top of that, the last two integrations that Joe showed, both HomeBot and Total Expert, those are both great opportunities for you to uncover purchase lead transactions from your past client database. And what would it mean to a realtor if you could uncover a purchase transaction opportunity and share that with your best referral partner instead of you being the one going asking for leads? So now you've sort of turned the tables and reversed the role that we play in that traditional realtor and loan originator relationship.
Thanks, Dawn, for adding that color. And so, from our perspective, what's important is always getting the feedback from the organization, from the individual managers and leaders, understanding that folks have had all kinds of various past success with technology, and being able to highlight that when it comes to Mortgage Coach, every one of your originators are quoting options today. They're just not necessarily able to illustrate them in a way that's clear enough for the customer to make the commitment. And when you're looking at margins and you're looking at costs as a lender, taking every phone call that you get that has a fundable opportunity on the other end of the line is the way that we lead to higher volume. And that disconnect between the lenders and the originators' ability to overcome those objections is key to being able to most efficiently and effectively convert those unconverted opportunities. So I'd ask each of you in your respective regions or branches, look at how many credit reports you pulled, look at how many of those credit reports turned into transactions, and what percentage would have to convert for this to really be motivating. And for some of our customers, it increases by 30, 40%. Because when you really look at why a customer transacts with someone else and not you, it's generally from a misunderstanding of not seeing the full picture of what you can offer. And so again, making that shift from price to advice really means helping you become a teacher and educate your customer on the AmeriFirst advantage. I don't think there's any better way today to be an advisor for your customer than to help them understand how to put their mortgage to work for them. And so I look forward to opportunity with all of you to better hone the message with the TCA, but I would turn the mic to your team to ask us questions, or again, we can jump into any of the specific integrations. Otherwise, we'll share the recording and get feedback in the future.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, everybody that added dialogue. I'm glad that everybody got to put their eyes on what I know would be a great fit for AmeriFirst and just driving more business, especially as we move into going back to purchase focused business and just the landscape that we're in right now. I not only want questions, but for the current users that are on this call today, and I might call you out, Turner, Tara, I would love to hear about how it's had a positive impact on your business. And, you know, even in taking into consideration that you guys have individual accounts with Mortgage Coach without the integrations. I know both of you are huge fans, and what it means to your business as it stands now, but what it would mean to have those integrations. So if you don't mind, Tara, I don't know if you're able to talk at the moment, and if not, that's okay. Maybe Turner, you could jump in, or we could bounce things off of each other.
I wish somebody had told me my camera was on this whole time. I have the flu.
Oh.
I did not realize that. So I do like it a lot. And I don't, you know, all these automations, all this, all the integrations look pretty interesting. And it does look like there's some good stuff available with the integrations. To be completely honest, I started watching and was thinking, I don't need any of this because it's very valuable as is. I don't find it to be inefficient or inconvenient at all to put together a presentation. I could put something together in, you know, and it would be very specifically to that client in 5 minutes, put 4 options together. So it's just, that's not like the time consideration looks nice, and I would value that. And I hope we do go that direction, because it does, the optimal blue in particular looked intriguing. But I kind of specific with it, and I'm OCD with the way we present stuff. So I don't know how much I want it automated anyways. But you know, even if we don't go into a corporate wide integration, everybody on this call needs to be adopting. It's critical. Matt DeLuzio, in a meeting about 4 years ago, called everybody in our meeting stupid for not having it. And I think, I mean, that's just what I don't know how else to say it. It's an absolute requirement or necessity. When somebody like Matt says that out loud to everybody, I mean, I have had it for my entire career, but I didn't use it nearly as well as I'd have liked to, up until probably that moment that I realized I was stupid. But it's you know, I do a lot of jumbo loans, and I do a lot of high-end clientele. I have a lot of, you know, I do my realtors loans, I do my CPA and CFA and CFP type people's loans, and they usually say something along the lines of wow, which when you're talking to somebody who, like a financial professional of any kind, to say wow about your financial presentation, I think is kind of all you need to know about how it's viewed. I'd be happy to lead you know, I only have like 1 or 2 tricks, but I teach it pretty regularly about kind of how I talk about downshifting down payments or appraisal gaps. And it's so easy to illustrate that kind of stuff to my LOs, which saves just lots and lots of deal. People don't seem to understand the math that exactly goes into appraisal gaps and things like that very well. And Mortgage Coach explains it really well. And I definitely think it up levels my, you know, I have most of my, I mean, every LO that works for me, if you guys don't know, the Cherry Creek branch has started in the mortgage industry in the last 4 years. So it up levels them to a pretty great degree. We teach it a lot. When we're teaching off of Mortgage Coach. So everybody's on the same page. You'd have to ask me something more specific, I guess, other than to say that it's, to me, it's mandatory. Is the only way is how I'll conclude.
No, I'm glad that you said that. So I guess I didn't realize that you were using it for so long. I just kind of wanted to compare, you know, kind of your business prior to implementing Mortgage Coach into your day-to-day presenting to clients versus, you know, after. But since you've been using it for so long, the other thing that I wanted to even talk about and consider is, you know, for all of you branch managers that are coaching people up, we've got a lot of younger folks that have jumped into the business, and, you know, trying to get them ramped up and going in an environment where you only get paid commission. Just wanted to talk to you guys about how this tool could help you really help them ramp up. I know for me as a salesperson, to have a platform that I could professionally present options to a client would be critical to my success. So just wanting to know, like, how that would have an impact, or how does it have an impact, Turner or whomever, on coaching some of these people up and helping them accomplish their goals? Turner, if you want to be heard, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
I'll answer that first question. How did it change? Before I was very fearful of my rates and pricing, and I would show a little Excel printed grid that would have, and I would angle myself in such a way that I would say something like, if I can hit $40,000 cash to close, and basically kind of cheat the system, because I knew, in Denver we have seller tax preparation credit or something to sell around a better rate. And now the conversation is about strategy. And so, like, if your first day in loan officer life in my office is going to be me explaining kind of the average person puts 10% down, the average lender is going to show you a fees worksheet with 10% down, and I'm going to put that 10% down on column 1, and then I'm going to do, I might have a higher or lower rate and it won't matter. But then I'm going to show maybe 95% with single premium and a lower rate, and therefore they've got lower cash to close, lower payment than the other option. And the conversation moves away from what's the rate to, what's the best strategy for the client. And the conversation goes very well from there. We win all the time. I've told this at the branch manager meetings before, but like, we always just send a bomb. I don't use the mortgage coach video, but I'm sure it works fine. I use bomb, and it's got my picture on the bottom, or Brett's picture on the bottom, and we go through 5 to 7 minutes and send it out, and I can create that in 5 minutes. So it's like a 12-minute process to create a presentation for a refinance or a purchase client, and then updating it super easy. We sometimes do copy the agent occasionally on those types of things. They usually are impressed as well. Once we've recorded the video, they're usually impressed with that as well. And then as far as training new LOs, like I said, the very first day, you're going to get my little spiel on how I think you differentiate yourself on 95% of the transactions we do, or you can easily create a differentiation moment by just simply downshifting down payment by 5% and illustrating how you can have a lower payment and lower cash to close with a lower rate and lower APR. And that usually is enough to shift their mindset to the conversation that I want to have.
Awesome. Sure, thank you. I know when we first started looking at this, I reached out to you, and I was so grateful for you sharing everything, just because I know that, you guys are fast paced, and you guys have been experiencing a very competitive market with compression for the longest time, probably out of all of our markets. So I was very, very happy to get your feedback and know that it's been doing such a great, having such a great impact on your business. Tara is also on, Tara Krieg, and as you guys know, she's also one of our platinum producers, and she's been using Mortgage Coach. And one of the things that she has shared before is exactly that. You shift the conversation from being a rate comparison conversation to a strategy conversation, which is exactly what Turner just said. So Tara, if you're on and you can hop in and share with us about Mortgage Coach and the positive impact it's had on your business and how it shifted the conversation to more of a mortgage consultation conversation versus a rate conversation, I would be so grateful.
Yeah, so we really started using Mortgage Coach back in the fourth quarter of 19 when we saw compression in the market to do exactly that. And then as our market continued to change last year and became much more competitive, can you close that door for me? We started to use it to really address issues with appraisal gap. So, when we were looking at a client who was going to put 10, 15, or 20% down, we would do an appraisal gap strategy presentation showing, what that looks like in terms of keeping their cash to close very similar, but just adjusting the strategy of their loan structure. And it's been a game changer for us. So it's a general business practice to have an edge for every client. And that way it's super easy for our weekend warrior to go in and adjust pricing. Once it's built, it takes just moments to make it property specific. And then everybody on your team has access to it, from the loan officer to the LOA. And it's also made it a lot easier for my team captain and my LPs to lock loans, because we can already see what was previously presented to the client. They literally just go in and they adjust the pricing to current market, and then they resend the link that says, please note your total cost analysis has been updated with today's pricing options based on the strategy you discussed with Tara. Please let us know how you'd like to proceed. It also has us, gives us the ability to lock in a borrower's rate on that day without them having to have selected their rate structure and not get all freaked out by that rate lock confirmation. So you simply state, hey, the market started to shift. We went into an alert to lock. We wanted to protect you on price, but no worries at all. You still have all the decision making. Here's your options for locking in today, and we can move within today's rate sheet. And so that strategy in a, interest rate environment like we're seeing today, where we quickly move from floating to locking, is really helpful as well.
So Tara just addressed a great feature for the enterprise implementation of Mortgage Coach for those of you that operate in teams. And with the enterprise implementation of Mortgage Coach, we do have team access. And what that allows you to do is to more elegantly allow multiple people to be able to work for, let's say, a primary loan originator who needs to help, just move faster and be more productive. And so with team access, that allows somebody, an LOA, to get into the app and to have everybody else locked out at that point in time. Because one of the risks that you have, if you have people sharing logons and things like that, is that you have a loss of data integrity should somebody be in the loan when somebody else is in the loan. So we've taken that head on and created this team access functionality to really allow your teams to operate more efficiently.
The other thing I really like about it is that we use Salesforce. And so when a client calls in to inquire about a refinance, there's a button in Salesforce or Jungo that we click, which literally syncs their closed loan to Mortgage Coach. And then it allows us to quickly and seamlessly create a presentation of their refinance options without starting an Encompass file. So that really helps us see if this is something that probably is going to make sense for this client or not, without disclosing a bunch of loans that may or may not go somewhere. So just a lot of great ways to utilize this program. And we've had great feedback on it too.
Michelle, one final thing that I'd like to bring up is that most of our conversation has been about when you're in the conversation with a borrower. But when you shift your thinking a little bit, and again, as we go into 2022, and you want to generate increased purchase transaction, there's probably an opportunity for you to look at untapped markets, right? Markets that you haven't previously looked at. For example, that growing ever huge base that we call those millennials, first-time home buyers, right? So with Mortgage Coach, you have the ability to shift to a marketing type of presentation. So in your database, if you've collected information on first-time home buyers, or you're partnering with a realtor who might be focused on that first-time home buyer community, you can actually put together marketing presentations that will help a millennial or first-time home buyer see that they don't have to have 20% down. You can dispel that myth and put together things like 5% down, MI options, 3% down, and host that information out on social media, or send it out through an email campaign. So now you've turned Mortgage Coach into a lead generation system, partnering with your marketing system. And hopefully even maybe Michelle could put together some of those campaigns for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'd be happy to do that. I think there's a lot of different ways it can be leveraged for sure. We have not really had a great TCA platform in quite some time. And so I really kind of wanted to focus on that, but just the integrations to really streamline everything, I think is key. And, I know that we're past the hour mark on our meeting, so I don't want to take too much of everybody's time, but here's what I need from all of you as managers is I need you guys to put some thought into who you think would benefit from this in your branch. We basically are trying to get an idea of a general seat count where we can go back and start discussing what our options are to save money, right? The idea, if we're going to do some sort of enterprise agreement, we want to save you guys some money. So we just have to have an idea of what that seat count looks like. It doesn't mean that anybody is obligated to using Mortgage Coach. It's just letting me know that, hey, I think this would have a positive impact on me and my branch. Here are the people that I think that would be beneficial. And you don't even have to list their names. You could just give me a number. And then that way I can go back to Don, Joe, and Chris, and we can sit down and start talking about our options. And then I can come back to you all to see if it's something that that we would be interested in doing from a cost perspective. Of course, how it adds value to the day-to-day business. As we heard from Turner, we need to be using this. And I agree, but I just want to make sure it makes sense for us to go into this from a corporate level versus you guys signing up on your own. So send me an email. Let me know if you're interested for your branch, how many people you think would benefit. And then from there, we can get you guys some pricing and move forward. And so if you guys can do that by the end of this week, that would be really, really helpful for us just to kind of keep things moving forward. I've had people reach out to me ready to already sign up. So I don't want to keep anybody waiting if the enterprise direction makes more sense. But if we don't have any additional questions or comments at this moment, I just want to take the time again to thank all of you for really pivoting, getting on today to learn about this. Joe, thank you for jumping in and sharing with us. It was so exciting to learn that we were going to have you on the call today. And of course, Don and Chris for getting me all the information that I needed to be able to put this together and have it, really, it was enlightening to learn all about it. So I just want to thank you. Oh, my lights just went off. So if there are no additional questions or comments, guys, I can let you go. And then if a follow-up to me with a head count would be much appreciated. And then I can get some more information out to you.
All right.
All right.